Okay, good morning everyone. I want to revisit a Mipano that I spoke about a number of years ago because I was asked about this week. It's about the Trop in the beginning of the Parsha. I want to present a new idea, but the Mipano, it's not so simple to understand what he's referring to. If you look at the names of all the Meraglim, Lemate Ruvain Shamua ben Zakur, Lemate Shemain Shafat ben Chayri, Lemate Yehuda Kalev ben Yefuneh, Lemate Yisachar Yigal ben Yosef, Lemate Ephraim Hoshea ben Nun. So then over here you already have an aberration. Until now, you had a Munach Zakef Katan, followed by Tibcha Soif Pasuk. By every pasuk, Lamate Binyamin Palti ben Rafu, Lamate Zvulun Gadiel ben Saidi, except for Hoshea ben Nun, Mercha Tibcha, Mercha Soif Pasuk. Every single pasuk, Lamate Ruvain Shamua ben Zakur. Why does the Torah switch the Trop by Ephraim? Lamate Ephraim Hoshea ben Nun. Yeah, you ever wonder about that? Or you're too busy? So the Mipano says that Yehoshua was different than any other of the Shvatim, but I want to elaborate. All of the other Shvatim were mafsik between them and their Shairesh, which is the Shevet they're from. Therefore, in their pasuk, there was a real hefsek. But Yehoshua ben Nun stayed true. By the way, if you wanted to know, look behind me. You see Rabbi Vadia and Rabbi Moshe? On top of Rabbi Vadia and Moshe are my Sfarim of the Mipano. You see there are a few of them missing, okay? Because I was trying to find it this morning, which I did, but it's very hard to understand what he's referring to. So the Mipano seems to say that all the other Shvatim made a hefsek between them and the Shevet. As opposed to Ephraim, as opposed to Yehoshua, Lemate Ephraim Hoshea ben Nun, there's no Zakev Katan. My first problem with this is, one important rule in laning is a tibcha is also a hefsek. So just because there's no zakev katan, but there's a tibcha. So is a zakev katan a bigger hefsek than a tibcha? So I called my father this morning, and according to Tikkun Simanim, they're both categorized as hefsek. They're both in the same category, zakev katan and a tibcha. So, unless you have to say there's a difference in levels of interruption between tibcha and a zakev katan. In other words, all the other shvatim, lemate zivulun, stop. There's a hefsek between zivulun and Gadiel ben Saidi, as opposed to by Yehoshua ben Nun, lemate Ephraim, Hoshea ben Nun, where it's a tibcha, but it's not a full stop. But I don't have any evidence that there's a difference in levels between a zakev katan and a tibcha. But if you look carefully at the words of now, this week, where's Isaac? Isaac asked me, there's another aberration here. And that is by the name of the Shevet Yosef. Lemate Yosef, Lemate Menashe Gadi ben Susi. There's an asnachta. That's the only pasuk with an asnachta. So to that, I want to say something very important. I would say there's a very important reason for that. Namely, because we know that an asnachta is a much bigger pause than a zakev katan. And there, we're dealing with Shevet Yosef. And Rashi throughout the Chumash tells us that, let's say by the Bnei Tzlafchad, it says that they were the daughters of Yosef. Why? Because Yosef loved Eretz Yisrael, and they also showed chiba to Eretz Yisrael. So therefore, when it comes to Shevet Yosef, in order for them to speak badly about Eretz Yisrael, they had to completely separate from Yosef. They had to completely separate from their source of Kedusha. Because Yosef would have been such an influence not to speak Lashon Hara about Eretz Yisrael, so there you have to have an asnachta. So it would come out, according to the way we're learning, an asnachta is the highest level pause, followed by zakev katan, followed by tibcha. However, if you look in the Rama Mipano inside, he seems to say a little differently. He says like this. He says, Ba'u Shemois HaMeraglim, this is found in the Sefer Mea Kasita. We find by the names of the Meraglim in Parsha Shelach a pasuk miyuchad l'chol echad mehem, kulam b'shnei ta'amim mafsikim. There are two mafsikim. Lematei Reuvein Shamua ben Zakor Zakev Katan Tipcha. Lematei Shemain Shafa ben Chari. Two stops. Lematei Yehuda Kalev ben Yefuneh. By the way, Rama Mipano says, even though Kalev ben Yefuneh also has to cut himself off from Yehuda, because he was Ruach HaCheres Imai, he had to speak Echad B'Peh Echad B'Lev. As opposed to Yoshua ben Nun, Lematei Ephraim Hoshea ben Nun, there's only a Tipcha, there's no Zakev Katan. So in other words, you don't have to differentiate between a Tipcha and a Zakev Katan. It's all the other psukim have two hefsekim, as opposed to by Yehoshua, where there's only one hefsek. I would add, and the Rama Mipano says, and there's one pasuk that has three mafsikim. Who? Yosef. Lamate Yosef, Lamate Menashe. You have three hefsekim. Why? Because they both were mafsik. They were both had to be separated from the Meragel, both Yosef and Menashe. And I would add that's why there's a esnachta, because you have a complete hefsek. Now, just to be moisef, based on what we learned Monday morning, that the Meragel was accompanied by the Shevet. Reuven himself accompanied Shamua ben Zakor. Shimon accompanied Shafa ben Chari. But in order for them to commit this Avera, they needed to make a total hefsek. That's why by Reuven there are two mafsikim. By Shimon there are two mafsikim. By Yehuda there are two. Because even Kalev had to separate in order to pull off this trick of Echad B'Peh Echad B'Lev. By Yisachar there are two. By Ephraim there's only one. By Binyamin there are two. By Zevulun there are two. By Yosef, there are three, because there you needed a complete separation, and we added even a separation of an asnachta. Okay, so that's a Rama Mipano revisited from past years.
Recording stopped.
Okay. Here we go.